I am 87 years old. I have seen things that would make your blood run cold. I have been in rooms where a single wrong word meant a bullet in the back of the head. I have negotiated with men who killed before breakfast and slept like babies afterward. I was Bumpy Johnson's strategist for 30 years. And before my hands shake too much to write this, I need to tell you what I learned. Because you out there, negotiating your salary, fighting with your boss, trying to close that deal, you are playing the same game. You just don't know it, and that is costing you everything. Let me take you back to 1952, Harlem. I was 23, fresh out of Howard University with an economics degree that was worth nothing on the streets. But I had something more valuable. I had the ability to read people, to see what they wanted before they even knew it themselves. Bumpy Johnson found me in a jazz club. I was watching, always watching. He sat down next to me and said, "Kid, you've been here an hour and you haven't looked at the girls once. You're watching the men. You're counting who talks to whom. I like that. You work for me now." He didn't ask. He told me. That was Bumpy, and that was my first lesson. Real authority doesn't ask for permission. You in your office, apologizing for existing, sending emails that start with "sorry to bother you." You've already lost. The negotiation begins before you open your mouth. It begins with how you enter the room. Bumpy never entered first. He always arrived last. Why? Because when you arrive last, everyone is already waiting for you. You've already established that your time is worth more than theirs. That is the first rule. Control time, and you control the negotiation. Now let me tell you about Lucky Luciano, 1955. Bumpy needed to negotiate territory on the Lower East Side. Luciano controlled everything. He was untouchable. Most men would have shown up with gifts, with promises, kissing boots. Bumpy did the opposite. He arrived empty-handed. He sat across from Luciano and said nothing. 5 minutes of silence. Luciano, used to people talking, begging, selling themselves, finally asked, "Did you come here just to stare at me like an idiot?" Bumpy smiled and said, "I came to see if you're as smart as they say. A smart man knows war costs more than peace. A stupid man needs it explained to him." Luciano laughed. They negotiated. Bumpy got the territory. What happened there? Bumpy didn't negotiate from need. He negotiated from equality. That is the second rule. Never negotiate from desperation. The moment you show you need the deal more than they do, you're already dead. And I can see you now, in that job interview, sweating, smiling too much, saying, "I'll do whatever it takes." You've already lost. Power in any negotiation goes to the one who can walk away. Always. But here is the secret no one tells you. The secret I learned watching Bumpy for 3 decades. It's not about being the toughest. It's not about being the cruelest. It's about understanding what moves the other person. And I'm going to tell you something that will change your life. People don't want what they say they want. They want what that thing represents. In 1958, a lieutenant from the Genovese family came to Harlem looking for trouble. He wanted respect. That's what he said. Respect. Bumpy could have killed him. Easy, but instead he invited him to dinner. In public, at the best restaurant in Harlem. Introduced him as my friend from downtown. He gave him what he really wanted. Recognition. The guy left happy. Never caused problems again. See? The guy didn't want respect. He wanted to be seen. He wanted his boss to know he was important. Bumpy gave him that without losing anything. Third rule, discover what's underneath the demands. Your boss says he wants more commitment. What he really wants is to feel he has control. Your client says he wants a better price. What he really wants is to feel he won. Give him the feeling, not the substance. I watched Bumpy negotiate hundreds of deals, and in 90% of them, the other side walked away thinking they had won. And they were right. They had won something. But Bumpy had won more. Now let me tell you about the time I almost died. 1963. We were negotiating with a heroin supplier from Marseille. Dangerous guy. Connections to the Corsican mafia. Bumpy sent me alone. First time, I was terrified. I walked into a warehouse in Brooklyn. 3 guys with guns. The Frenchman looked at me and said, "Bumpy sends me a kid. That's an insult." I could have apologized. I could have tried to explain. Instead, I sat down, pulled out a cigarette, lit it slowly and said, "Bumpy sent someone who can do math." If you wanted intimidation, he would have sent someone with a gun. Do you want to talk numbers or keep measuring who has the bigger dick? Silence. Then the Frenchman laughed. We negotiated. I closed the deal. When I got back, Bumpy asked me, "Were you scared?" I told him yes. He said, "Good. Fear keeps you alive. But never let them see it." 4th rule. Fear is internal. Confidence is external. You can be shitting yourself inside, but if your face, your voice, your body say, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be," they will believe it. Negotiation is theatre, and you are the lead actor. Now let's talk about betrayal, because in 30 years I saw plenty. I saw men who had eaten at the same table for years stab each other in the back for money, for ego, for nothing. And I learned something. Loyalty is not a feeling. It's a calculation. People are loyal when it benefits them. When the cost of betraying you is higher than the benefit, they are loyal. When the benefit outweighs the cost, they betray you. That's simple. Bumpy knew it. That's why he never fully trusted anyone. But that's also why he was never betrayed. 5th rule. Make betraying you more expensive than staying loyal to you. Not with threats, with structure, with compartmentalized information, with mutual dependence. There was a guy, Marcus, who ran the numbers in the Bronx for Bumpy. Good guy, hard worker, loyal, or so we thought. In 1967, we found out he was skimming money. Not much, but enough. Most bosses would have killed him. Public example. Bumpy did something different. He called him in, said, "Marcus, I know what you're doing. I know how much. I know why. Your daughter is sick. You need money for the doctors. Why didn't you just ask me?" Marcus cried. Bumpy gave him the money. As a loan, no interest. Marcus paid back every cent and worked for Bumpy until the day he died, more loyal than ever. What did Bumpy do? He turned an enemy into an ally. He turned shame into gratitude. 6th rule. When you catch someone in a mistake, you have 2 options. You can destroy them, and everyone else will fear you, but will also look for ways to destroy you. Or you can save them, and you'll have a lifelong ally. Power is not in punishing, it's in forgiving strategically. But here's the trick. It only works if you truly have the power to destroy them. Forgiveness without power is weakness. Forgiveness with power is magnanimity. Let me tell you about silence. In 1969, there was a meeting. 5 families, territory, drugs, money. Bumpy was the only black man in the room. Everyone was talking, yelling, threatening. Bumpy sat in silence for 45 minutes, not a single word. Finally, the Colombo family boss asked, "Bumpy, what do you think?" Bumpy leaned forward and said 3 sentences. 3. He reframed the entire problem, proposed a solution no one had considered. Everyone agreed. We walked out with more than we came in with. 7th rule, the one who talks the most loses the most. Every word you say is information. Every silence is power. Let the others fill the void. Let them reveal their fears, their desires, their limits. You listen, and when you speak, make every word count. I see people today, in meetings, talking non-stop, trying to impress, trying to prove they're smart. They're giving away all their power. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Use it. When someone makes you an offer, don't respond right away. Count to 10, look at them. Let the silence do the work. You'll see them start improving their own offer without you saying a thing. Now the part nobody wants to hear. The violence, Yes, there was violence. I'm not going to romanticize it. I saw men die. I saw families destroyed. But here is the truth. Violence was always the last resort, never the first. Stupid men use violence because they have no other tools. Smart men use the threat of violence, which is very different. Bumpy rarely had to lift a finger. Why? Because everyone knew he could. And that certainty was enough. 8th rule. Your reputation is your most powerful weapon. If you have to prove your power constantly, you don't have power. Real power is quiet. It's the certainty that if you cross a certain line, there will be consequences, and those consequences are inevitable. In your world, it's not physical violence, but the principle is the same. If you're known for keeping your promises and your warnings, you won't have to repeat yourself. If you say, if this isn't delivered by Friday, there will be consequences, and Friday comes and there are no consequences, your word is worth nothing. Never threaten what you can't deliver. And always, always deliver what you promise, good and bad. Let me tell you about the end. Bumpy died in 1968. Heart attack. In a restaurant, eating fried chicken. Ironic, isn't it? A man who survived gang wars, the police, betrayals, dies eating chicken. I was there. His last words were, "The game never ends. Only the players change." And he was right. After his death, every territory he had built crumbled in 6 months. Why? Because it all depended on him. There was no system. There was only one man. 9th rule, build systems, not personal empires. If everything depends on you, you haven't built anything. You've created a prison, for you and for everyone else. The great negotiators are not indispensable. They create structures where they don't need to be in every decision. That is true freedom and the true legacy. Now I'm 87 years old, my hands shake, my vision blurs. But my mind is clear, and I look at the world today and I see people making the same mistakes. Negotiating from fear, talking too much, showing desperation, trusting the wrong people, not understanding that every human interaction is a negotiation. Every conversation, every relationship, every moment. You think negotiation is something you do in a boardroom. You're wrong. You're negotiating when you decide whether to answer that message immediately or wait. You're negotiating when you choose what clothes to wear. You're negotiating when you decide what to tell and what to keep silent. Life is one continuous negotiation, and most people are losing without even realizing they're playing. So let me give you the final secret, the one Bumpy gave me the night before he died. We were drinking whiskey. He knew something was wrong with his heart. You could see it in his eyes. He said to me, "Listen, everything I taught you, all the rules, all the strategies, it all comes down to one thing. Know your worth, and never, never negotiate it down. People will treat you exactly the way you teach them to treat you. If you sell yourself cheap, they'll buy you cheap. If you establish that your time, your word, your presence have value, they will respect it. Not because they're good people, but because that's how the world works." That is the 10th and final rule. You teach people how to treat you. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you're setting a precedent. Every time you allow someone to cross a boundary, you're moving the line. And eventually, the line disappears. And you wonder why no one respects you. It's because you didn't respect yourself first. I lived in a world where one mistake meant death. You live in a softer world. But the principles are the same. Human nature doesn't change. Power, fear, desire, ambition, all of it is still there. Only now they wear suits instead of guns. They use contracts instead of threats. But the game is the same. And now, before my hands shake too much, before the darkness comes, I leave you with this. Stop negotiating your life downward. Stop accepting crumbs when you deserve the feast. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Learn to read people. Learn to control time. Learn to use silence. Learn to build systems. And above all, learn that your worth is not in what others think of you. It's in what you know you're worth. Bumpy Johnson died more than 50 years ago, but the lessons he taught me are still alive. In every negotiation I made afterward, in every deal I closed, in every moment someone tried to intimidate me, and I stood firm. He taught me to survive in a world that wanted to swallow me, and I survived. Not just survived, I thrived, and now it's your turn. The game never ends. Only the players change. Are you going to play, or are you going to keep being played? I'm tired now. Go negotiate.